Alright guys, what is going on today? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to talk about Boruto chapter 68 and is Delta Amado's daughter. So let's get into it. So in this chapter, it resumes right after chapter 67 and Boruto, Naruto, Shikamaru, and Kawaki go back to the village, and this is literally the following day. So this is the morning time. And Boruto gets checked out along with Kawaki being knocked out in the other room and Sumire is over watching him. So with Boruto talking to Amado and them, Boruto tells them that Momoshiki saved him and that Momoshiki healed his scar. And Momoshiki used his remaining data to heal him. So this surprises everyone there. And then Dr. Katsuki says that if Boruto's whole now, that means that Momoshiki can revive since he neared that last 18% to revive. Amado then says that Momoshiki can still take over Boruto even though Boruto is now 100%. And then Dr. Katsuki tells Boruto, he's like, you're gonna have to keep taking the pills. They seem effective and they will keep Momoshiki suppressed. Boruto says he doesn't need them. He says that something has changed and now that he can channel Momoshiki's powers better. It means that Boruto, like Kawaki, who was using Ishiki's powers, Boruto can now use Momoshiki's powers, just like his Byakugan that we saw in the previous chapters and his battle experience. Though Boruto didn't have the Byakugan active, his eye was still there. Just like how Kawaki had Ishiki's eye and he could use it, I think the same applies for Boruto. Though I still believe some things are limited, like Boruto using Momoshiki's Rinnegan. But this pops the question that if Boruto can use his powers, does that mean that the eye that we saw in chapter 1 is the Byakugan rather than the Jougan? I do think that is a possibility, but that is possible if the writers decide to do that. That is if they make the Jougan an anime only, where the Byakugan is a manga only. Only time will tell for that. But getting back into it, Amado gives off a ... when Boruto says that he can channel Momoshiki's powers better. There's two things here I want to talk about. The first being that Amado doesn't truly believe Boruto, but then it's revealed later in the chapter that Amado tells Shikamaru that Boruto wasn't lying and that he's telling the truth about him being revived and his DNA, everything showing that he's Otsutsuki. The second thing being that Amado has a plan for Boruto. When Boruto said he can control Momoshiki's powers, Amado might see it that he can use Boruto to benefit him. Let's say that Amado wants Kawaki to become the strongest for whatever reason it is. He wants him to have his karma back and all that. If Kawaki becomes a threat to Amado, Amado can manipulate Boruto to eliminate Kawaki, since now that Boruto can use Momoshiki's powers better and that Kawaki and Boruto are similar in power levels. So Amado could be scheming something with Boruto since he now knows that Boruto is 100%. For all we know, Amado could feed Boruto to the tree if he wants to become an Otsutsuki himself, just like how Code is trying to do it. And Amado wants to take over Kawaki's body, who has Ishiki's powers, which is the strongest Otsutsuki. So him taking over somebody's body who's OP, it will benefit him, and then feed Boruto to the tree. He'll become even stronger by eating Boruto, and by eating Boruto, he'll have all the data that's on the earth as well, since the fruit will take all life on earth. So if Amado wants to become stronger, he may plot like that. Alright, so getting back into the panels, we get back to Kawaki and Sumire. Now, Kawaki is knocked out in the bed and he was really exhausted after his battle with Code and Boryushiki, and Sumire says that he's unconscious from expending a lot of chakra, but his life isn't in danger because his body self-healed due to the nanoparticles in his blood. So then Sumire pops a question to Shikamaru, Naruto, and Ibiki that why did they call her? Shikamaru says he doesn't trust Amado right now, and you're the only one I trust, so I'd rather have you look at Kawaki than Amado. So it makes sense in why they called Sumire. Now, judging by this panel, it means some time has passed since the Ishiki fight, and it means that Sumire now knows Kawaki's body much better, which is why they called her instead of Amado. Because back then she started as Amado's apprentice, but now she knows more about Kawaki himself, because she was able to tell that he's okay and that he is exhausted due to expending too much chakra. But she's like, if we gotta do a full check, we gotta bring him back to the lab. So I think, judging by this stuff here, I think there might be a possible relationship on Sumire and Kawaki in the future. Now, what I think might happen, now this is just a possibility, is that they may ask Sumire to overwatch Kawaki rather than Amado, because Shikamaru might not trust Amado anymore, especially after what he did to Kawaki and putting the karma on him without consent. They may ask Sumire to stick with Kawaki most of the time, and I think that may develop something between Sumire and Kawaki. And looking at Sumire now, she knows more about Kawaki than anybody else does, besides Amado. So I do think there might be a connection between her and Kawaki in the future, and I have a theory coming on this. I still haven't had time to put it up yet, but it's regarding Sumire and Kawaki's relationship and how the village gets destroyed because of Sumire. So stay tuned for that. But anyways, getting back into the panel itself, Ibiki asks Shikamaru, he's like, you sure you want to leave him unbound? And Shikamaru's like, I'd rather leave him unbound than make an enemy, because he can just shrink anything on him and he can use the karma to absorb any sealing jutsu that we use on him. So Shikamaru says, so it's better we do not antagonize him. So Shikamaru here is smart. Last thing I noticed about Shikamaru is that he's acting like his old Shikamaru self from back in Shippuden, where he's thinking of all the possibilities and he knows that Kawaki is way too strong, and if they make him an enemy, he might retaliate against them. So could this right here be foreshadowing in the future that when the village gets destroyed, it's because everybody turned on Kawaki and they antagonized him? I think that could be a possibility. But the only thing to make Kawaki do that is if something happens to Naruto. For example, let's say the other 4 Kages try to assassinate Naruto and then Kawaki gets pissed off and destroys everything. That could be a hint at it. Now, a couple things I noticed in this panel, when Shikamaru said, all we can do is have faith and that I make sure he stays on our side. He's like, we want to stick with peaceful solutions, of course. Naruto then says, good, that's how Konoha village does things. And Shikamaru's like, so you're okay with it, Naruto? And Naruto's like, yeah, we'll have a nice long talk when he wakes up. And right away, Sumire notices something is off with Naruto. Now, when Naruto says we'll have a nice long talk, I think deep down Naruto is actually upset and angry with what Kawaki did. He's looking at Kawaki thinking that this guy's going way too far. As much as, you know, we're family, this and that, he is pushing certain limits. And Sumire notices that, which leads us on to the next panel. When Sumire goes to ask Shikamaru, did something happen with Lord 7th? And Shikamaru's like, what do you mean? She's like, I hope it's just my imagination, but he seems to be brooding over something. And Shikamaru's like, he just got back this morning after narrowly escaping death. He's exhausted. And Sumire's like, you're right, please forgive me. So I like how Sumire notices these small hints here and there about certain characters. As I said, she is pretty smart in the manga. Like, she's really cunning and sly. As to the anime version of herself, she's not that great. But the manga version, she notices something is off with characters like she did with Amado and Kawaki, and now with Naruto as well, she notices something. But when she says that Naruto is brooding over something, I think Naruto is upset that Kawaki killed Boruto, and Naruto is actually surprised that Boruto is alive. Because imagine how Naruto would feel if Boruto was actually dead. I mean, we did see him last chapter and stuff looking at Boruto's dead body and thinking, yo, my son is dead. So you have to understand Naruto would be pissed off if Boruto was really dead. So looking at Naruto's face, I think he's gonna tell Kawaki something. He's gonna tell him to chill with his emotions and calm down a bit. Though I'm not sure if Kawaki's gonna react that way. That's the thing, because Shikamaru did say that Kawaki's only goal is to make sure Naruto is safe. So depending on how Kawaki handles the situation, anything that happens to Naruto, Kawaki's gonna react with it. Which again leads to the idea that if something happens to Naruto in the future, that could explain why Kawaki destroys the village. For example, the Kage's turning on him, or the village turns on Naruto for saving Kawaki, and now Kawaki hates the villagers, etc. Something along those lines could happen. Alright, so getting back into the panels, Sasuke then approaches Shikamaru saying, I have intel on Code's whereabouts. So then Shikamaru and Sasuke talk, and Sasuke tells Shikamaru that we found out where Code might be, and it's one of Boro's cult facilities. He's like, they did a lot of messed up stuff there, from human experimentations to scientific ninja tool R&D, and in particular, that facility was used for disposing cyborgs that Jigen had ordered to be scrapped. And Shikamaru's like, that sounds fishy. So then Sasuke tells him that there's a guy there named Bug. He's an acquaintance of Code. And then Shikamaru's like, alright, we're gonna send deployment there since we have no other leads. I think this right here could be foreshadowing two things. First, it could be a manga arc with Team 7 and Sasuke leading them, or it could be an anime canon arc with Team 7 and Sasuke. Though I think Kawaki's gonna be out of the picture because they rather not have Kawaki leave the village just to be on the safe side, and him sticking with Naruto is the best option. So then Sasuke pops the question to Shikamaru saying, I heard about what Kawaki did, is it true? See, even Sasuke's having a hard time believing what Kawaki did. Shikamaru tells him, yeah, he killed Boruto. Even if it was to stop Momoshiki, he did it right in front of me and Naruto. Thankfully, Boruto turned out to be okay. And you see Sasuke looking at him like, damn. So I think in Sasuke's mind, he knows Kawaki is a force not to be messed with. He knows that Kawaki is actually unstable and crazy, where he's willing to do anything for one person. And I think Sasuke could see himself in Kawaki in a way, because Sasuke did want to get revenge on the village after he found out what Itachi had to go through. Now, it could be the same thing with Kawaki, where he'll do anything to protect Naruto. I'm not saying they're the exact same thing, but I'm saying they both go back to one specific person. I think deep down Sasuke does not want Kawaki coming anywhere near his closest people, like Sarada and Sakura and the Uzumaki family. Because if Kawaki was able to kill his brother, who's to say he won't kill Himawari if she's deemed a threat to Naruto or something like that? Because you gotta look at it, that is Kawaki's brother. Even though it was to stop Momoshiki, he went to the lengths to kill him to save Naruto. That's why Shikamaru is worried, alright? I know a lot of people are going to defend that, but at the end of the day, it does not look good that you're killing a close one. And if you're willing to kill a close one, who's to say you won't hurt others? And I think that's what Sasuke is thinking of, where he's like, yo, if I let Sarada around this guy, who knows what if he ends up killing her because she does something wrong or etc. Which we did see back in chapter 58. I think deep down Kawaki was actually going to hurt her if Boruto did not step in, because she did not have her Sharingan activated then, so it was hard for her to react to that, and Kawaki was pretty quick. So that panel already foreshadowed what might happen to Boruto in the future, where it did happen, and and Kawaki end up killing one of his close ones. So then Shikamaru tells Sasuke that the only ones who know about it are Ino, Sai, Amado, and Katsuki. He's like, we're still deciding on how to move forward. Sasuke then says, where's Boruto? Shikamaru says he should be with his friends, including Sarada. Go see them. So now it goes on to Code and Eida. So Eida saw everything that happened and now she knows why Boruto survived. She tells Code that Momoshiki saved Boruto through the karma, and Code is actually surprised. And then she says that now Boruto is full otsutsuki, meaning she's like, now you can use him and feed him to the tree. And the thing that gets me here is when she says, somehow they shared an exchange that I can't see directly with my Senraigan clairvoyance. I wonder if he's able to communicate with Momoshiki on some sort of spiritual plane. I said this during my chapter 64-65 review, that when Boruto first saw Momoshiki, it's the same when Ichigo saw Zangetsu. And when Ichigo was about to die, Zangetsu appeared to him, and that time that Zangetsu spent training Ichigo was only a couple of seconds in the real world, while in his inner world it was like 30 minutes. Same thing applied to Boruto here and Momoshiki. When Momoshiki was talking to him, only a couple of seconds to a few minutes had passed in the outside world to maybe about 10-15 minutes in the inside world. So that moment when Momoshiki freezes time is actually the spiritual plane, which only Boruto and Momoshiki can see. So Momoshiki doesn't really have a time stop, because Eida pushes that question saying, are they able to communicate on some sort of spiritual plane? So it makes me question on how Sasuke was able to see those events, because after Momoshiki was defeated, Sasuke saw when Momoshiki was talking to Boruto saying you'll lose everything, he saw all that with his Rinnegan, but Eida couldn't see that even though that was in real time. So I think that plane is completely different. It's an area that you cannot see with regular eyes, and maybe a plane where only the Rinnegan can see. Now one thing I do wonder is that, is there a weakness to Eida's eyes? Now I think this is a perfect opportunity for Sarada to come in the picture and fight Eida. I think these two are going to be fighting each other, and I think Eida will probably lose to Genjutsu, because if she can see everything in real time, then she can't see the Genjutsu. As soon as she's caught in Genjutsu, how would she get herself out? So I think Genjutsu might be her weakness, and it'll be a battle of the eyes, which will be pretty sick to see. Then the next parts of the panel actually get me, and you can see Eida is actually upset with Code and how Code took it too far by hurting Kawaki and even using her little brother to hurt Kawaki again. And Code says, I didn't really have any other option. And I did say this in my chapter 68 predictions, that Eida and Code are going to have a conflict of interest, where Eida is basically going to be overpowering Code, saying, you're going to listen to everything I say, you have no say in anything, you're a slave to me, which is how Eida is actually showing herself in this, especially the way she looks at Code. You can see the two panels, the way they focus on her face and her eyes. Her eyes are squinting, looking like, I'm higher than you, don't try anything on me. And that's when she says, your job is to bring Kawaki to me. She's like, I'll help you regain your powers, but you gotta bring Kawaki to me. So she says that if I help you regain your powers and you're still useless to me, she says that we siblings will get rid of you. And she says, consider yourself warned, meaning right from the beginning, Eida was already plotting against Code. I said this multiple times, Eida is sneaky as well. She is planning, she's figuring ways to get rid of Code in case he turns against her. And she considers Code a peasant, which makes sense though, because the way she's acting, she thinks she's a queen. She's obviously gonna act higher than Code. But I think deep down Code did not like what she said, because the next thing Code says is, you mean we're not even comrades? How sad. I think if you look at Code, I think deep down he's actually hurt by her words, because remember, she stole Code's heart and Code's been crazy about her. Now imagine if she says something bad to Code regarding himself. He's not gonna feel right, thinking that, this person I like said we're not even friends, we're not comrades, nothing. I'm just a simple tool for her. And then Eida says, that's business for you. She's like, if you don't produce results, you'll even lose this sad relationship. So it makes you question on what's actually going on in Eida's head, on what she's really scheming. So I do think her and Code are actually gonna fall for each other in the future, because they're actually opposites of each other in a way, and they'll both do whatever they can for their own goals. So they kind of fit with each other. And because of Damon's attachments to Code, it makes it seem that Damon is going to be the little brother of Code, because even Eida says that, he's taking a liking to you, and the way Damon keeps playing with Code, and Code is allowing it. Code's not saying anything. So I understand he can't do anything to Damon, the guy's gonna kill him on sight. So I understand why Code can't do much. So in this situation, he's actually outnumbered, so he's 2-1. So could there be a hint here that in the future, because Eida said they're not comrades, that Code will turn on Eida? I think that is a possibility where Code might ask for help from an outside source to help him get rid of Eida and Damon, because if she's pulling the strings, then he does not want to be manipulated. So then Code says, don't worry, I've already taken measures, and the scene cuts back onto Shikamaru, and you see a piece of Code's belt on his neck. And then Code says, all we need is the timing. So I called this back in my chapter 68 predictions. I said that Code is gonna wait for the timing, and he's gonna wait for Amado and Shikamaru to get with each other, and at that moment he's gonna pop out, which ends up happening soon. So before we get to that, we see Shikamaru go to Amado, and he tells him that what's the situation on Boruto. He's like, it sounded far-fetched at first, but it looks like Boruto was telling the truth, and his blood analysis confirms everything. And Shikamaru's like, so that means Momoshiki can't revive anymore. He's like, yeah, it's 100% impossible. So now we look at it, that means Momoshiki cannot come out of Boruto's body, and now that means that Momoshiki has to take another opportunity to get out of Boruto's body or find another vessel. And I still do believe he'll either take Kawaki or Code as one of his vessels, where Boruto will get rid of Momoshiki through one of them, because Momoshiki is a plotter. Just like Eida, he's thinking 10 steps ahead of the game. So I think Momoshiki still has a way out, and he will find a way out, because if he's seen the future, then he already knows what happens in certain events. Though I think it's constantly changing, some things are confirmed, just like Boruto losing it all, which he even says, I don't know why it's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen. So right now Momoshiki can't revive, but most likely he is still plotting something deep within Boruto. For all we know, when he takes control of Boruto, he might use his own powers and put another karma on somebody else and let that karma extract, just like how Ishiki did. He had a karma on his jougan vessel and he had one on Kawaki. While he was waiting for the Kawaki one to extract, he was still living in Jigen's body. So it could be the same thing with Boruto and whoever the next vessel will be. So then getting back into the panels, Shikamaru snaps at Amado saying, you know what I want to ask you? That's right, about Kawaki's karma. So looking at the next panels, we get to Boruto, Sarada, and Mitsuki, and you have Sarada touching Boruto's chest. Bro, even she couldn't resist the man's abs. She had a cop a feel on his chest, you know? It's like that scene in Captain America when Steve Rogers got out of the machine and you see Peggy come up to him and she touches his pexes. Same thing here, bro, except Sarada wanted to feel that tattoo. But the scene gets me though, when Sarada touches his chest and Boruto's like, hey, watch your hands. Like, they're both flustered, where Sarada has a sweat mark and Boruto has like a shocked expression and kind of a sweat mark. But it makes you wonder the trust they have, because he openly just shows his shirt and his scar to his friends. So that's how you know their bond is actually really close, because a lot of people don't know what happened and they don't know Boruto has a new marking on his chest, and now his team knows. So then Sarada asks him, it doesn't hurt or anything at all. Like, she's worried about him, you can tell. And Boruto says, well, it was a pretty close call, but as you can see, I'm fine, though that bastard Code got away. Then Mitsuki pops a question saying, question, why'd Code try to kill you when he wanted to feed you to the 10 tails? And Boruto's like, you see? And this moment, Boruto has a flashback of Shikamaru saying that don't tell anyone that Kawaki killed you until we decide what to do. So then Boruto kind of plays it off saying maybe he couldn't control himself, and he said that Code didn't think that far ahead. But in reality, Code was actually fighting for his life, because he was fighting against Momoshiki, fighting against Boruto, and then on top of that fighting against Kawaki using his karma form. So Code was outnumbered heavy. So then Sarada says, either way you've become a full otsutsuki. She then asks him, are you going to be all out targeted? He's like, yeah, probably. He's like, I don't know where Code's hiding, but I'm not gonna let him escape next time. She's like, that's not what I meant. You need to be careful is what I'm saying. Or if you're attacked when you're alone. See, again in the scenes, you see Sarada's worried about this. Like, see, I think there's a parallel here. You see Sarada with Boruto and she's worried about him, but then you've seen Sumire with Kawaki. I know Sumire got forced to be there, but at the same time, she knew something was wrong with Kawaki and she knows Kawaki's body. As to Sarada here, Sarada is worried about Boruto. Just like back in chapter 43 when in the hospital, she was worried about Boruto again. So then Sasuke pops out, he says, Sarada's right. He's like, he can appear at any moment. So Sasuke is warning them, saying that, you know, you gotta be careful around the town because Boruto is now a target and he could pop up at any time. And I think Sasuke actually wanted to come check in on Boruto because he knows after what happened to Boruto, he might not be in his right mind either. So he wanted to come comfort his student, especially because he died. Like, this guy's student died. Obviously, Sasuke's gonna feel something. The way their families are close too, Sasuke has a bond with Boruto. So then Sasuke says that Code will stop at nothing to get his limbers removed, and his first target is gonna be Amado, which is what Boruto says as well. So then the scene cuts back to Shikamaru and Amado in his laboratory. Then Shikamaru is actually pissed off at Amado, saying, you gave Kawaki the karma without his permission. What were you thinking? And Amado's like, I know Kawaki didn't want the karma, but he still wanted the power of the karma. He's saying that if you guys didn't have the power of Kawaki's karma, you all would have been finished. And then Shikamaru breaks a sweat drop, saying, don't dodge the question at hand. Setting aside the result, what you did was not for Konoha or Kawaki's benefit. If you ask me, you seem obsessed with Kawaki's karma itself. Why? And you see Amado is a bit shocked by his answer. He's like, now this guy's getting onto me. So deep down, what is it that Amado really wants with Kawaki's karma? I do believe there are a couple of possibilities here where he either wants to take over Kawaki's body and he wants to make him as strong as possible so no one could match him, or he actually intends to use Kawaki's karma for a different benefit in terms of reviving someone. And I think that's where his daughter comes into play. I said this a while back as well, I think around chapter 60 reviews, that Amado could be plotting to use Kawaki's karma and actually put his daughter's data inside of it and let it extract. But I don't think it's Amado's daughter that might have died. He might have had a son as well that died, and he may want to revive that son. And I do think those are possibilities because in the whole Naruto Boruto verse, it always revolves around a certain person. person. Like look at Naruto Shippuden. Obito went through all that just for Rin, and he saw how painful the world was. So everything could change based off one person. Where in Boruto, we've seen Kawaki will do anything for Naruto. So who's to say that Amado won't do something for his daughter or son? So then at this moment, Code pops out of Shikamaru's neck, and Code says, sorry to interrupt, but I'm not letting this opportunity go to waste. And you see Amado is shocked, like Amado is shook. And his expression is actually changed, like man is shook. So then Shikamaru gets flung back, and you see Amado yell for Shikamaru. Code grabs Shikamaru saying, I want you to remove my limiters right now. And he's like, the way to remove them is look in his eyes and say the command. And then Amado's like, wait, how do you know? So right away we know that Amado did not know that Eida is alive. I've seen some people saying, well, what if Amado was planning it, this and that? His inner thought right there that says, gah, how'd he know? Right away tells you that Amado did not know Eida is alive, and that he did not know that Code was gonna attack. Because if Amado knew Eida was alive, then he'd know that she knows everything, and she would know on how to remove Code's limiters, which she does. So it makes sense that he doesn't know that Eida or Damon are alive, and how Code knows what command to do to remove his limiters. So then Ino senses Code's chakra, and she instantly contacts Shikamaru. So then Shikamaru's like, just inform Naruto and the others, but do not send anyone here, because if somebody comes up, Code's gonna run away. And the thing I like about this moment is, again, Shikamaru is playing into his 200 IQ self, where he tells Code that he's like, I knew you implanted a belt on my head, and I was waiting for the perfect opportunity for you to pop out, and this was the perfect opportunity. So I think Amado did not know that Shikamaru had the belt on his neck, and I think the reason for that is this takes place the next morning, right after the events of chapter 67. So then at this moment, you see Shikamaru say, wake up Bronco. This is the cyborg we've been waiting for almost 10 chapters, and to be honest, I'm a bit disappointed. It had to be Delta, like come on. Like I was thinking it was somebody before the 4th Shinobi War, because I remember Amado and Koji were getting the data for that. So now the Delta we see, she has a symbol on her head that is the leaf symbol, and she is basically the same Delta, except there's some changes you can see in the torso and everything. Though I'm not gonna lie, there's one noticeable difference. You already know what I'm looking at, bro. You already know. But one thing I noticed with this Delta that is same with the other Delta is personality. When Shikamaru commands her to attack Code, she's like, I know, shut up already. Don't keep screeching like a darn fool. So then Shikamaru reveals the plan, and he's like, I know you're gonna escape. I'm not gonna let you escape. We're taking you down right here. And Code's like, who said anything about escaping? And at this moment, he puts his hand in his belt and pulls out another hand, which is Eida. Now again, as I was saying earlier, Eida acts like she's the queen, and the hand gives it away. Code is the knight and she's the queen. The way his hand is facing downwards, and Eida reaches her hand over like a knight helping a queen. And I think this is the first time their hands have actually interlocked with each other. And boom, Eida appears from here. But the one thing I noticed about Eida is if you look at her eyes, she feels really irritated or really pissed off. I think she wanted to get all this over with. She's saying like, you know what, let's go attack Amado right now. Let's go get your limiters off. Let me go get Kawaki. Like I think she was sick of waiting. Her face looks like that. It looks like she's really tired. So then Eida appears in front of Amado. So at this moment, Shikamaru, Amado, and Delta have been taken under Aida's control. That means they've all had their hearts stolen. Now the thing with Delta's face is that it looks like she has seen Eida before. Like, if you look closely at her face, it looks kind of surprised, but not 100%. Though Shikamaru's like, what, another comrade? But Amado is the real shook one. Look at the man's body figure, bro. Look at the man himself. He's shocked. And again, looking at the next panel, Amado is sweating. Usually when the character sweats, you know it's something serious. And this just goes to show that Amado did not know Eida is alive, and now he's thinking that if Eida is alive, that means the other cyborgs he made that Jigen ordered to be disposed, that means they're all alive. So it could be possible that in the future, that if they do infiltrate the hideout where Boro had these cyborgs, they could awaken these cyborgs. But I do believe that they all will want to have revenge against Amado for something. If they don't, then they might become allies with Boruto and them in order to fight Eida, Code, and Damon. So that is it for chapter 68 review. Now I want to talk about Delta. I believe Delta is Amado's daughter. There's a reason why they keep focusing around Delta. We thought maybe she was a nobody from the beginning, but ever since the beginning, after Naruto defeated her, we saw that those 3 clones of Delta. And don't you find it weird that there's only 3 clones of Delta as to Koji, as to Boro, as to any of the other guys? Only Delta had 3 clones back in the Kara hideout. And then back in the base when Jigen was talking to Amado after he fought Naruto and Sasuke and beat them, he says that don't worry, everybody's goals will come true, even yours. Amado then looks over at Delta and she's like, don't look at me, you creepy old man. I think it's hinting that she is his daughter, especially now too when Amado specifically asked Koji to go retrieve info on a certain person before the 4th Shinobi War. That was all the data before it was digitalized. So it could be that he actually went to go find Delta's information and she could have been a possible ninja back in the days. And I think the data that Koji actually picked up is Delta's personality, because if you look at it, this Delta, even though she's remade, she's remodeled, she has the same personality and attitude like the previous Delta, where she says shut up, like, you know, I'm doing it. Where the old Delta was the exact same thing. thing. Though this delta is gonna be on the good side, that was on the bad side. So regardless of which delta is which, they both have the same personality. And the one who made that personality is Amado, using data he got from the archives. And they say that Amado's daughter died 12 years ago, and this is 2 years after the Shinobi War. So there could have been a moment between that time that she was alive and that she died, and then this guy decided to take her data and put it into a computer. And that is why Amado is able to make multiple deltas all on the exact same thing. Because I find it weird that there's so much focus on delta, especially when Amado says that I'm going to make an ally that's going to benefit the leaf, and he ends up making delta. I understand she's strong with her eye beams and everything, but he chose delta of all people. He could have revived Minato or Hashirama or anything like that, made a clone of those guys, but he decided to make one on delta. So it just goes to show you that delta is somebody close to Amado, and I do believe that is Amado's daughter. But Amado's probably not good at showing his emotion, which is why he doesn't show too much emotion towards delta, because he knows that she's a cyborg and she might not feel anything that way. So I could be wrong on that. So I do believe that is his daughter. Let me know what you guys think of that, and let me know what you guys think of the chapter itself. I like this chapter, and I like the way the story's progressing. I actually like how they're moving pretty quick with this, and if the idea is true, I think in the next few chapters they might finish off this arc. With the next chapter being more text focused, it might be Ida explaining everything to Amado, and during the end of next chapter we might see a fight break out. And at that point I think Amado either is gonna get taken or he's gonna get one of his eyeballs taken, or try getting Amado back so he can remove the limiters. Because if everybody's been informed, like Naruto and Sasuke, and Sasuke's with Boruto and them, then most likely Boruto might finally show himself to Ida, and her powers are not going to work on Boruto. So at this moment I think she might fall for Boruto as well, if she knows that her powers won't work and he's able to give her a different response than everybody else. Though I do wonder how Mitsuki's gonna feel. That's my main question, because Mitsuki doesn't show his emotions like that. I do wonder how he's gonna react. Though I don't think there's actual love in her powers. I think it's more of they're captivated by her heart that they can't attack her. Like sure, they might feel crazy about her, but they're not going to attack her because they can't attack her at all. Like her powers overpower their emotions, saying you can't attack me, I'm someone dear to you. I don't think her powers are where it's like you're gonna love me no matter what, like you're gonna die for me, this and that. I don't think it's like that. So let me know what you guys think of that. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos to come.